Alright guys, welcome back to VALORANT News. The match-fixing drama continues after Seangares drops his bombshell video the other day. Blue Otter came out and initially denied all allegations, and now the players have doubled down on the situation, saying they're never through. They fully deny the allegations. Is there any proof to implicate these individuals any further? What investigation is happening right now behind the scenes? Where do we go from here in terms of Seangares, and what he might respond to this in due course? Very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. Lots of drama elsewhere. Firstly, worthy of note, that XLG suspended you for various infractions. We're not 100% sure what infraction they suspended him for specifically, but there were a few rumours anyway. They won the Chinese region, and they still don't have a fifth player because they suspended him, and in 12 days they'll be in Toronto for Masters. So they need a new player. Who's it going to be? I don't know. We'll see, I suppose. There was also some big drama in the VALORANT Challenger Southeast Asia. Now, if you guys remember this, in the off-season, we had NRG. They won the Soup TV or Soup Live, whatever it was, invitational tournament. The year before it was called the Africa TV tournament. Now it's Soup. Now, it's not the best streaming platform you're ever going to see, as we full well know, but Riot came up with a genius idea of partnering with them to present VALORANT challenges. So in Southeast Asia, that's where challenges is streamed. And as you might expect, nobody watches it on Soup. And, I thought, Alter Ego's CEO here was pretty straight up and basically said, what are we doing here? They're forcing everyone to watch on this other platform. There used to be 10,000, 20,000 people watching Indonesian VALORANT to now there's a few hundred. So why in the world would I support the scene? And, it's an absolutely understandable suggestion. Look, this is always going to happen. I don't really know why they made the decision. Money at the end of the day, because Soup were likely going to not only pay them to do it, but also help run the tournaments. Which, okay, great, well done. But you're kind of killing the scene at the end of the day. That's the frustrating thing to me. When these, the companies, the publishers that are running the tournaments, they will choose kind of what makes sense in the near term financially over what makes sense in the long term financially, right? Like, I'm not saying waste money. What I'm saying is that a lot of the money that you save by running it in this way in the short term is actually counterproductive to what the scene is trying to be in the longer term. But, that kind of myopia, unfortunately, in my opinion anyway, exists rather everywhere. There's also a bit of drama around Leviathan. Now, they were scrimming. There was actually they were noted to be down 15-4. So, maybe they're not having the best time with their new roster with Sato instead. But they did apparently get rid of their coach. There's at least some discussions. Lembo talked about it. He's pretty well connected in the Latin South American scene and says that Ito Pata is going to be gone out of the team. Now, Viaton already made the decision. It's not a rumour. Ito Pata is not going to be part 100%. And, if I'm right, Idapada's not going to be part of Leviathan. They told him, I think, last Thursday. What do you guys think about this decision? It should have been made stage one. For me, deciding to keep him and allowing him to make the roster changes, pick his players. Now you're going to bring in another coach of players that he chose. They make the decisions backwards. I understand that argument, right? Because, look, you're going to bring in players that he wanted, potentially. Sato, Okonos. Maybe that was his decision, and then you're going to get rid of him and then bring in a new coach. I mean, it's the same. We talk about it a lot in like soccer and stuff in football, when a new coach will come in and not necessarily want to work with the players that the previous coach wanted to work with, right? So, look, who knows what will happen next, but apparently Ito Pata used to be in their practice group or in prac, where they do their scrims and stuff. And now he's not. So yeah, he used to be Ito, as you guys can see here. And on the latest screenshots, well, he ain't there anymore. So it seems pretty likely that this is going to become reality. But yeah, pretty remarkable direction that Leviathan have taken in recent times. Just to quickly note in challenges, TSM went down to YFP yesterday, eliminated therefore from the North American Challengers stage. Big result for YFP, Stella, Penny, those guys making the run. Can they make the run to win the entire thing? Well, we'll see. This is the way the brackets presently looks. We had Ambrosia take down Winthrop 2-0 as well. That match was also yesterday. So we have 4 teams remaining in the Challenger side in North America. Envy play Burger Boys, YFP play Ambrosia. Those matches both happened today. Envy, of course, are the favourites right now to take the dub in the entire thing, and look, they already beat YFP in the tournament as well, so we'll see how this tournament goes, but Envy right now looking pretty good to potentially make a run into Ascension and maybe beyond as well. But let's talk about the drama. So, the last few days, Seangares and others in the scene were revealing a major match-fixing scandal, as they saw it, match-fixing cheating scandal in certainly the Tier 2 space. There were loads of pieces to this puzzle, and Seangares spent some time in the video going through clips that Riot felt. It wasn't even just him. Riot in their investigation had also highlighted certain rounds that seemed fishy, shall we say. Look, it's very difficult to come up with concrete evidence of match fixing or throwing unless you literally have conversations from a certain player with a certain individual paying them to throw the game. Now, we know that there is evidence to suggest that individuals did request players underperform in order to win money from them, because they would say, okay, I'll give you 15k to throw the game, and I'm going to put, 50k on this match on a bet, and therefore when I win, I make a profit, you make a profit, well done everyone, right? That's effectively how this fundamentally works. Now, not only is this against Riot's rules, of course, this is very much so criminal activity and illegal, so, it's obviously a big deal. Now, the players, given Tier 2 as a challenge, were potentially getting involved in this, but unless you have concrete evidence and proof that this was happening, it's very difficult to prove. You can look at a suspicious rounds, but look, in 1% of rounds, a team's, you're just going to make a bad play. Like, sometimes that just is how it is. And obviously, Seangares was looking at some of these rounds, and there's been some debate on whether these rounds were actually thrown or whether it was merely just bad play in the moment. So, look, some of the screenshots are pretty straightforward. As we can see here, Timotino is, in a conversation with this guy, Bray, and, Bray makes it very clear, 30k for you, all you need to do is underperform in your next game, I'll send 15k before the game and 15 after. And he said at the time, look, I can't participate in that, and presumably he didn't get involved. And Bray was pretty adamant to Seangares, let's place a bet of 100k if you can find any proof that money was exchanged between me and a player for this so-called match fixing. Now, Bray, I don't know, based on the screenshots we've seen, he pretty clearly offered it, right? Like, that seems like it's relatively clear. Whether they actually followed through is a different question. I know we have this guy who was in a conversation with Bray as well and says, I can make you 6 figures, I can get you on Discord or whatever. If you, basically, I'll make you 6 figures in your game, I'll make sure you make at least 20k, and I'll promise you we can make a bag if you throw your match, basically. So, now look, not to say that any of these players actually did this, but it's pretty clear that Bray was having these conversations, but Bray is of the opinion that actually, despite having these conversations, he doesn't really seem to be denying that, but he says that he actually never followed through on any of it, right? And also that's the point, that it's very, very difficult to prove any of this stuff. Now, the big drama during Seangares' video was Blue Otter and a couple of other teams, mainly Blue Otter, were implicated in this scenario of potential match throwing. Now, Blue Otter at the time said, okay, this is a major accusation. We will obviously condemn those actions if these allegations are true. But for now, we're going to support our players and do our own investigation. So Bob from FlyQuest and also for Blue Otter, place of both of them, comes up with a statement yesterday that says this: the 5 of us had planned to allow Riot's investigation to clear our names privately, but since the accusations against our team have been publicised, we are in the process of forming a video response to Seangares' claims against us. We understand his stated intention was to help the scene. However, the recent allegations have caused irreparable damage to our players' reputation and careers. This damage has extended beyond the game itself into our personal lives, will have implications on our future endeavours. Immediately following the allegations, our players have been already met with numerous hardships. Most significantly, our team has received countless death threats, and a player of ours was benched from a professional Game Changers organisation. Of course, that's Bob in the FlyQuest Red situation. Additionally, the team has endured personal distrust from not only the community, but from close friends as well. Regardless of the conclusion of Riot's investigation, the volume of viewership and coverage of the event for the community severely compounded the publicity of the situation, and as a result of said publicity, our team has suffered irreversible defamation. We deny any and all allegations against our players regarding cheating and match fixing. I will say it's kind of interesting that it was actually Bob who tweeted this. Like, Blue Otter have not actually tweeted anything else. They simply tweeted that initial one, and that's all they've done, really. So, I don't know. This situation's really interesting to me. Where do we go from here? Who knows? It's understandable that the team is going to, deny the allegations, but I think Seangares, in my opinion, Seangares is old enough and wise enough and has been around the scene for long enough to probably know that making accusations and potentially implicating individuals, if he wasn't very, very sure that this stuff was happening, I'm not saying it was happening, right? People can make mistakes and it would be a big deal, right? Because even if Seangares is wrong on one count, then, you know, it creates an implication on an individual who was totally legit and weren't doing anything dodgy that effectively can affect their future career very seriously. But I also think that the reason why people are giving Seangares' video and opinions a lot of weight is because he's earned that over all the time that he's been in esports. He's earned that reputation. He's earned, you know, the community perception of him that he has in the positive sense. So, look, obviously there's innocent till proven guilty stuff going on here, and there is maybe some evidence to suggest that, yeah, okay, maybe the team was throwing, some of the rounds looked very suspicious, but also maybe sometimes you just have a bad round, right? Like, I don't know, there's a lot of debate on this as it stands. The team is going to emphatically deny it, and, well, what's the truth of the matter, right? Who really knows? They're going to produce a video response to Seangares. Obviously, there's still investigations happening behind the scenes. Seangares will have to, you know, accept the fact that he talked about these individuals in that context, and, you know, as I say, I don't think he would do so unless he was very sure this was likely to be true. But again, you know, does he have conversations between these individuals and someone like Bray saying that he's going to throw the game? You know, maybe not. That's obviously a very different conversation, right? So, yeah, intrigued to your thoughts in the comment section below. As ever, right, Valorant Esports continues to be very entertaining indeed, and this is certainly not the end of this story over the next few days. Wolves dropped 24-0 on some team, but, you know, that was pretty remarkable. Of course, Sentinels, they weren't playing Sen, but they play Sen at Toronto, so that was the talking point there. Fnatic were down 8-12, Niso was getting thrown out of the conversation, G2 were up 16-4 in a scrim set that they played, and Envy were down 9-14 to someone or another. So that's all the scrim bucks of the day. Very much enjoyed to your thoughts on all this stuff in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.